Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
You can put it on the board. Yes!
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the MTV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had. Probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call to find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. A big welcome to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. And, of course, everybody else watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, WOW, and independent cable television affiliates. Big hello to our friends on The Drive, the Highway Drive Country Radio. And that's from L.A. to Las Vegas, 107.1 FM and 101.5 FM. Everybody taking that drive, everybody that's listening in, and those are our friends as well. And we want to make sure we give them a nice little acknowledgement and a round of applause. All right. You know, thinking about these baseball stadiums and all this fun stuff, you know, we wonder, the cost of going to the games are fairly expensive, as we know. And we think about the alternatives, but then again, some people want to just go and spend the money. They want to have a great time. And listen, I get it. I'm okay with that. But ultimately, you have to make a business decision at some point. You say, well, geez, is it really one of those, do we take a weekend getaway and maybe spend $1,000 there, or we spend $1,000 at a ball game? And that's sort of where it goes. And look, I'm not time stamping this show. I want to be able to play this again. And there's a good reason for it, because people say, you know, sometimes we missed a part of that, and there are no time-sensitive issues going on in this show. So it's called an evergreen show, folks. And maybe we'll cover some content that is good today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, whatever. But people like the fact that they can go back and listen to something that's still relevant, and it wasn't, well, this happened last Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. It's not that kind of stuff. So the important part is, what we're trying to do is we're trying to give you something that you can play over and over. And this is especially for our friends on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. So this one has a little bit of a food theme. Folks, check out Chicago Food Favorites. It's a group on Facebook. I'm the administrator for it, so just make sure you don't spam the group. But listen, we started out at 0. We have over 2,300 members of the group right now. Nice round of applause for everybody. Thanks for joining us as well. And listen, it's growing and growing, and it will be a force to be reckoned with in a little bit more time. So we have grown it organically, and it will continue to grow at that rate. All right, so listen, baseball stadiums are famous for meh food, if you know what I mean. It's overpriced meh food. And when we think of some of the costs of the food, and listen, we could talk about football or basketball or hockey too. And I will certainly mention hockey as well during this program here. And I think of the cost of a hot dog. And growing up in Chicago, I say, all right, well, is it cheaper to go to Park A or Park B? Well, listen, it's cheaper to buy food on the south side over at the stadium where my beloved Chicago White Sox play. And maybe because they're not very good, they haven't been good, whatever. The Cubs are on the upswing, and those guys are playing pretty good baseball. Good for them. But when we think of the cost of a hot dog, it's about the same on either side of the stadium's as far as whether it's the north side or south side, right? But you probably expect to pay, I know at Wrigley Field it's about $8 for a hot dog, and it's probably just a little bit cheaper at Rate Field. It used to be called Guaranteed Rate, it used to be called the Cell. I don't even know what to call it anymore. It's called Sox Park, just like we used to call Old Comiskey Park Sox Park. And so it's about $7 to $8 for a hot dog there. And when you go to Boston, it's a little bit cheaper. Fenway Park, I think it's about $6.25 for a hot dog there. And then where it starts to get a little bit out of control, outside of the fact we will compare that with another stadium. The Dodger dogs, those big 16, I guess they're the 1 pound hot dogs or whatever. They're the longer hot dogs, whatever the case, maybe an 8 or 10 or 16 inch hot dog. They want $40 for one of those blasted hot dogs.
Show me the money!
It's insane. Absolute insanity. However, if you're in Arizona, it's one of the cheapest stadiums for food in the country, over where the Diamondbacks play, and you probably pay anywhere but $5 to $6 for a hot dog over there. In fact, sometimes it's a little bit cheaper. But my point is, how the hell are you going to pay $40 for something that comes on a bun like that? That is complete and utter lunacy. So then you say, well, geez, if the hot dog's $40, well, maybe the base model's about 10, whatever. But then the supersonic version's $40, which isn't that much bigger, by the way. You ask yourself, well, how much are the drinks? Maybe you want the adult beverage. Maybe you want a nice cold glass of beer to go with that. I don't know. We think about the cost of that, and we ask ourselves, all right, what are we in for a beer? It's going to be somewhere in the ballpark of $16. Now, compare that $16 and the hot dog. You're talking basically $60 with tip out the door for a hot dog and a beer. That in itself is complete and utter lunacy. Yes. Now, I'm going to boo that. I'm going to boo it because that's just way, way, way too much money. And so I compare that to, we're going to go right back to Chicago. This is for everybody in Chicago food favorites. If you get a beer at Sox Park or up at Wrigley Field, the beer is going to run you anywhere from $8 up to about $12, maybe $13, depending on where you're at in Wrigley Field, I suppose. But typically the beers are about 10 or $11 there, where at Sox Park they're a little bit cheaper. But here's a little bit of information that I recently discovered, is that the average fan at Sox Park buys 4.2 beers per game. And that leads the nation. It leads the baseball stadium fan nation. And that is, let's face it, these guys and women are getting hammered over there, and they're drinking a lot of beer. And guess what? Those beers, they actually make up a lot of the revenue for the stadium. Because remember, the gate or the tickets sold, there's a split between the home team and the visitors. Now, in case you didn't know this, when you tally up a place like, well, Sox Park, I mean, geez, there might be, 100 fans there. You never know. But at Wrigley Field, there may be 30,000 fans. And so they have to split that revenue. And the reality is the visitors want a stadium that's full because they need the money too. Apparently they need the money, but they want the money. But when you think about the modern stadiums and all those executive boxes and stuff like that, and you say, wow, there's at all these baseball stadiums and football stadiums and whatnot and hockey stadiums, all these executive boxes, these seats behind the glass and whatnot. Well, just like with Jerry Jones down in Dallas, well, all of those seats, in case you don't know, folks, even at Lambeau Field up in Green Bay, well, there's a lot of seats that are behind the glass. And when I'm talking about behind the glass, those are those executive boxes and so forth. And why are those significant? I'll tell you why. They're significant because those seats are not in the sharing pool with the visitors, in case you didn't know that. So all of those seats that are there, well, guess what they do? They get to avoid sharing the revenue, sharing the concession, sharing everything. And that's how guys like Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys make more money because they don't have to share that money. And, in case you don't know, Jerry Jones, from his stadium alone, as I read this recently, makes about $500 million without even having a football game. That's every year. Well, let's just put it this way. Every year, the stadium makes $500 million from all the special events there and all this other nonsense, parking and concession and ticket sales and everything else. And people wonder why Jerry Jones has so much money. Well, just the stadium alone is generating $500 million a year. Never mind all the investments that Jerry has and all this other stuff. And you wonder, well, geez, how'd they get that money? That's another show for another time. But you ask yourself, back to the affordability factor, go back to the beer and the hot dogs and whatnot. Fenway Park has reasonable food prices and reasonable beer prices. They say, I guess the powers that be, whoever they happens to be, they say that Fenway Park is the noisiest baseball stadium and the most dedicated fans and all that other nonsense. I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, I haven't really spent any time in there, so I can't say that. I mean, it's a glorious park, but geez, I don't know about all that statistical nonsense. Anyway, when we get back from break, we're going on break right now, we are going to run over the 10, allegedly, best ballpark bites in Major League Baseball. Don't go anywhere. Last more to come here on the Sports Circus. Back in a few.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes, are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com. Folks, make sure you check them out. All right, a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our network affiliates and independents from coast to coast, including our friends over in Atlanta. Thanks for waking up with us on WDJY 99.1 FM over in Auburn, Alabama. Thanks for driving home with us on 12:30 a.m. And that's WAUD, home of the Atlanta Braves. And welcome in everybody else throughout the heartland, all the way out to the West Coast, to our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the New York Yankees, San Francisco 49ers, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Plus, welcome in everybody on hotel television, that is. It's Hotel TV and all Nielsen rated markets. We're applicable, as well as Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, WOW, and independent cable television affiliates. Plus, everybody streaming on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, iHeart, Stitcher, Deezer, and all other streaming platforms, plus social media. I think we left anybody out here. It's kind of ridiculous. But we like to do it because that's what we do. Even we want to have a big hello to our friends over in, well, I guess in their cars, driving between LA and Las Vegas right now on Highway Country, 107.1 FM and 101.5 FM. If you're listening in there, thanks for joining us as well. Boy, that's a lot of... You know, folks, listen, I don't have any of that written down. I just have that burnt into my head year after year after year, calling the stations out and whatnot. And that's a lot of shows. We're talking over 2,200 shows. Believe me, that is a lot of shows to be doing these reads. And listen, it's just part of the rodeo, and that's what we do here. All right, so left off in the last segment talking about stadium foods, talking about hot dogs. And oh, by the way, what do you think of these hot dogs? And in case you're trying to buy American, now this is where I draw the line myself. I say, all right, what is a good American product? I try to buy American so we can promote our United States economy, right? We're not trying to promote other countries' economies. So, and here's the problem that I have. You know, in the grand scheme of things, we say we really try to buy those American products. And so we say, well, which ones, from a hot dog standpoint, which ones are the best hot dogs? Well, it depends on where you're from. And I don't know, I'm a Vienna hot dog kind of guy. And Vienna hot dogs, I happen to believe, are the best hot dog in the world. They're the best hot dogs, period. And then there is a long list behind them. And so you ask yourself, what do the others think? Well, look, here's the problem. First of all, Vienna hot dogs are made right there in Chicago. First, and that's a nice round of applause for Vienna hot dogs. And a lot of people really feel they are the best hot dogs. Not just me, and not just people that are from Chicagoland either. Well, here's the problem. A lot of people say that Nathan's hot dogs are the best hot dogs. Of course, that's a New York thing, blah, blah, blah. And the way they make them versus the Vienna hot dogs, they put them on the grill and on the flat top. And they basically fry their hot dogs on a flat top. Whereas the Vienna hot dogs are generally steamed It's a very different flavor, different taste, etc., especially with the snap dogs too, right? A little bit of spicy hot dog and good stuff. And of course, the Chicago dogs are clearly the champion of hot dogs, without a question. But in case you didn't know, Nathan's Famous Hot Dogs are manufactured by Smithfield Foods, which is a subsidiary of WH Group, a Chinese meat company. It's a China-owned company. Unfortunately, that Chinese meat and food group processing company, WH Group, people think they're getting, those Coney Island builded hot dogs and all this other nonsense. Well, guess what? That is a Chinese hot dog company. They are owned by the Chinese people. And hey, there's nothing wrong with the Chinese people. I love Chinese food and I love the Chinese people. I studied in China. It is what it is. But I want to try to promote the United States economy. I'm not trying to promote China's, or I'm not trying to contribute to it. That's why I don't shop at those cheapy stores. I don't use those online things. Buy directly from the manufacturer. They're all in China in the first place. And that's exactly what I'm trying to avoid. So I would love it if America joined in the fun and promoted our economy instead of theirs. So, I had to let that play out a little bit. I had to let that play out just a little bit. And there is a ongoing issue about these famous hot dogs, whatever. Nathan's Famous, blah, 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 most popular in games. The Fenway Frank, of course, a staple at Fenway Park. The Broomstick, a massive hot dog, of course, at Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas. And everything is, I guess, a little bit bigger in Texas. Of course, the Cheese Coney, that one is at the Great American Ballpark over in Cincinnati, Ohio. The Big Red Dog, of course, found also at the Great American Ballpark. They have those chili dogs there too, but that particular Big Red is wrapped in bacon. That looks pretty darn good. The Looney Dog, that's one of my fun names. It's a traditional hot dog, of course, in Toronto. Of course, offered at a discounted price on Tuesday nights, and on we go. And people say, what is the deal with ketchup and hot dogs? Why is it that it's just not something that you put on hot dogs? And look, there's a lot of tales about it. But the reality is this. While some people really enjoy ketchup on their hot dogs, others find it inappropriate, period. Particularly adults. And of course, the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council, for example, discourages ketchup for those 18, and older. That's great. Yes, that's from the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council. And so, they say, no, like they're advocating for a more sophisticated topping like mustard, relish, onions, cheese, and chili, And of course, there's a taste preference, and basically ketchup sort of wipes out the flavor of a hot dog in the first place because of the sweetness of it. And it doesn't really go so well. Technically, it overshadows that savory taste of the actual sausage or hot dog itself. And of course, in Chicago, look, ketchup on hot dogs is seen as a really, really big no-no. Oh, no, you don't. And look, there is a reason for that. In case you don't know, maybe we should get into that and maybe give you a little bit of history as to why. And so when you think about what the deal is with no ketchup and Chicago with hot dogs, here's a little bit from Reddit. Somebody said, why is Chicago so against ketchup on hot dogs? And this particular person with no name says, I asked this as a mustard person who grew up in Milwaukee. What's the deal with Chicago's legendary anti-ketchup bias when it comes to hot dogs? Why is it not just uncommon, but something Chicagoans actively rail against? Well, an important note, he says, I understand why people may not like ketchup on hot dogs, but I'm curious about why this particular bit of food practice became such a vocal point of contention in Chicago. Well, here's something that came with it. To be super clear, my question isn't why ketchup, good, bad, or whatever, on hot dogs, or why is Chicago the one place that doesn't like ketchup or hot dogs. It's actually, why has Chicago turned this particular food quirk into a point of civic culinary pride, and to the degree that the city is known for its unusual fixation on the issue. That's what this particular person wants to know. And look, the reality is this: Chicago has a large population of Eastern European immigrants and their descendants, especially from Germany, Poland, Ukraine, and Hungary. It's also worth mentioning that Chicago has a big Irish and Italian Catholic population, and as well, they love their dogma. So rules tend to get taken pretty seriously. But anyway, each of these nationalities has a pretty rich sausage-making history, and if done right, they're made with the highest quality of meats possible and spices. So, which they were, of course, since Chicago was home to the stockyards, in case you didn't know, where basically all of the U.S. meats passed through on its journey to all over the United States, from western pastures to the eastern seaboard and so forth and so on. And of course, this was a contrast to sausages in other parts of the country. And think about this, which were often made with cheap fillers. This is the key to this no ketchup thing, folks. So the idea is that ketchup obscures the flavor of the sausage without bringing much to the table. Then if you imagine a sausage like a steak, not only should you not have to put ketchup on it, you shouldn't want it in the first place. So that's how the rule applies in the first place, in case you didn't know. So it doesn't matter whether it's Polish or brats or knockwurst or sauerbraten, whatever the heck it is, do not under any circumstances put ketchup on hot dogs or similar. Back in a few minutes on The Circus. Don't go anywhere. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time. That's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
That's ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio. That's AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at Al's Number One Italian Beef at 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Folks, if you can't make it over there and get some great food, check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. You can learn about the Italian beef sandwich in case you've been living under a rock and you don't know what it is. They were in business, and in fact, they started Al's Number One Italian Beef in 1938, but the Italian beef sandwich was created right around in 1917. In case you don't know, and if you need a little history of that, read about it on alsbeef.com. Of course, those are our friends, and we always like to plug our friends on air. Matter of fact, next time you go there, make sure you ask for Bones and tell them Ringmaster Sal sent you over there to get some great food. Of course, that's why I'm for them. All right, welcome back to everybody. Radio, TV, everybody streaming on also thesportscircus.com. Thanks for joining us there, and also on Facebook, as well as, again, on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. In fact, we want to share that. Of course, we will. But I will tell you, folks, look, doing a show is not the easiest thing to do. And when I say that, and I say that, of course, with all due respect, it is very difficult, in case you didn't know, to actually run a live show. And when I say that, what I'm really referring to is the idea that there are so many elements when it comes to putting the show together, when it comes to putting the production together. I mean, seriously, folks, it is a very, very, very interesting task. I'll tell you that much. And when we think about what it takes to put a show together, man, I got to tell you, it is certainly not easy. But what I will say also is that it's a lot of fun when you're putting a show together to come up with fun topics. And when you think about the fun topics, this one has been there's been a lot of food mentioned in this one. Of course, we always like to plug our friends and our favorite restaurants and whatnot. But ultimately, folks, what are we trying to do? We're trying to have a little bit of fun. We want you to have fun with us. And honestly, that's what all of this is about in the first place now, isn't it? Right? I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it. I don't know about you. But when I see it, I say, well, all right, well, let's have a little bit of fun and let's see if we can make some people laugh. And, well, maybe along the way, we're going to teach somebody something because, of course, in case you didn't know, you just learned a little bit about what? About stadium food, about hot dogs. You also learned what? You learned about where you can get a hot dog cheap, where you could go get a beer cheap at a ball game on top of it. And you also learned what? You learned which stadiums are more affordable when it comes to food and drink than others. And by the way, what you also learned is, that's right, China owns Nathan's Hot Dogs. That's right. In case you didn't know, I just figured I would throw that one out there once again. Look, it is a real messed up situation when you think something is made in the United States. Just for example, go back to Vienna hot dogs. For everybody on Chicago Food Favorites, again, thanks for joining us over there. That's on Facebook, Chicago Food Favorites. Make sure you check that out and join the group. Have a little bit of fun with that. And of course, this segment brought to you by Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Check them out also at alsbeef.com. So we found out that Nathan's Hot Dogs were what? Made in China, owned by Smithfield, which is a Chinese meat company, whereas Vienna hot dogs are made right there in Chicago. And you ask yourself, what about all those other ones that are served out there? I don't know. Where are the Hebrew national hot dogs made? I don't know. Is it a pretty good product? Yeah, it's a pretty good product. I'm not going to say no. Is it in the same light as Oscar Mayer a pretty good product? Yeah, it's a pretty good product, but it's not a Vienna hot dog. That's for damn sure. And by the way, don't ever put ketchup on your hot dogs. All right. With all that said, the alleged, according to USA Today, the best ballpark bites are at these particular stadiums. So we're going to go down from 10 to 1, kind of like the same way David Letterman did his things, whatever. So they say, being USA Today, the 10 best, number 10 is Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Why can't they just call it Camden Yards? I don't know. Nonetheless, out of Baltimore, they say Oriole Park at Camden Yards celebrates the local food scene, and fans enjoy classic ballpark fare like pit beef sandwiches. Of course, I said sandwiches, gourmet hot dogs, and loaded fries, as well as Baltimore seafood specialties such as crab mac and cheese. Actually, that sounds really good. And they have the blue crab over there, folks. Boy, that's good stuff. So coming in at number 9 was T-Mobile Park out of Seattle. And they have, yes, not to be confused in Chicago, but guess what? They actually have deep dish pizza. I guess they do. They have deep dish pizza in Seattle. Yeah, you bet. So grab some at Moto Pizza at T-Mobile Park during your next Mariners game, or try their odd pizza. What's the deal with pizza in Seattle? I don't know. Nonetheless, they actually top their pizzas not with pineapple, but with crab. Now, the crab in Seattle is absolutely incredible because, they get the Alaskan king crab, those super colossal king crabs. They get those, but they also have the gigantic Dungeness crab. And, of course, they get the very middle of the road snow crab, which is not really that good. But the super colossal Alaskan king crab is the best of the best. Boy, that's good stuff. You don't even need butter with it. So we think of stadiums, we think of food. Now we're talking pizza with what? With crab? Hey, whatever. They also have food that, of course, comes from Hawaii. So they say check out at T-Mobile Park in Seattle, check out the Spam Musubi and pork sliders at Mariner Nation. And if you're hankering for a baseball classic, grab a Seattle dog top with cream cheese and grilled onion. What is the deal with sliders? Now look, sliders as I know it, and everybody else that I know as they know it, they are the White Castle hamburgers. Now suddenly everybody has a slider. That's ridiculous. I mean, is it a White Castle thing? Is it a national thing? Well, they've basically sold the name. In fact, the name has been heisted in the same way as In-N-Out Burgers, the classic California burgers. Boy, an In-N-Out Burger has some really good ones. And everybody in Chicago, you can kind of compare it maybe sort of to the Billy Goats. And if you're over there, you know what that is. So In-N-Out is probably a click better than Billy Goats. It is what it is. But In-N-Out's fries are the clear-cut champion, as fresh potatoes are literally smashed down through their device, and it makes fresh French fries right there. They put them right in the oil, and boom, they're done. Boy, are they good. Now, always make sure you order them without salt, too. So, and you put your own salt on. This way, you're always going to ensure yourself, wherever you get French fries, that is, you'll be able to ensure yourself getting some fresh fries. In case you didn't know that, that was a nice bit of knowledge there. But back to the slider thing, where the hell did everybody in the world that has small burgers. You know what they're doing, folks? In the same way, you have these alleged sliders. Well, they're miniature burgers, whatever. Of course they are, because they can sell a novelty item, something with the name, for the same price. Now, you think about White Castle right now. It costs about $1.50 a piece, which I remember when they cost 10 cents to 20 cents. Well, guess what? They're a little bit more expensive these days, but worse now. I think they've been, I wouldn't say recreated or duplicated or whatnot, but now places are charging $5 to $6 a piece for these. I mean, it gets to a point where you're like, all right, do I take a mortgage out of the house? Do I pay the car payment? I don't know what it is.
Show me the money!
But ultimately, it just seems like a colossal ripoff. And so in the same way, like I said, when you think about the name, how Five Guys actually ripped off of In-N-Out Burger. That's why I will never go to Five Guys. And by the way, I went there one time, a long time ago, and it was extraordinarily mediocre and extremely overpriced. And see, now the trick over at In-N-Out Burger, I'm completely digressing because I can't. The trick at In-N-Out Burger, folks, is to get a double-double, and you get maybe the meal, whatever it is, but you get the double-double, you say, I want to make that a triple. Or you can actually make it a quad or a 4x, like a 4x4. So when you make it a triple, basically it's the double-double price, and then they charge you an extra $1, I think it's $1.18 for an extra patty and cheese on top of it. So now you have a triple. Think about this. You have two buns, right, a top and a bottom for a double, and the buns kind of cancel out the taste of the meat a little bit. It just is what it is. Doesn't matter what double cheeseburger you're talking about unless you're getting a 99 burger at Yankee Stadium, because those are $20, but it's a half a pound monster, and it's a whole lot of burger. That's the Aaron Judge burger. But I tell you what, that's a real good one at Yankee Stadium. But the trick is with that double-double, when you get that third patty, and it's basically about 10 for the meal, it's about $10 out the door. They're about 10 or $11, which is pretty good, which includes fries and a drink. And I'll tell you, the extra patty and the cheese, now you can really taste it. And folks, it is really good, and it's a one hell of a deal. I'll tell you what, we come back from break, we're going to continue on with USA Today's 10 best ballpark foods. Don't go anywhere, lots more to come here on the Sports Circus.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA. The only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Thanks for everybody tuning in on all of our network affiliates and, of course, our independents. A big hello to our friends once again over on Highway Country. That's the drive between Las Vegas and sunny Southern California. 107.1 FM or 101.5 FM. Everybody that's listening in over there, thanks for joining us on the drive, plus all of our other affiliates, whether Atlanta or New York or Miami or Houston, Dallas, Los Angeles, even Alaska. Yes, we have affiliates up there as well. Folks, you can't get away from us. And, of course, a big welcome to everybody else on all of our streaming, even on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. A fun group. Talk about your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes, your favorite foods. Have a little bit of fun. Don't spam the group, though, because I'm the administrator, and I will make sure I kick your ass out and off of there. All right? Just because I can. All right. Welcome back to everybody, like I said. And continuing on from the USA Today alleged best ballpark bites, according to them, they had number 10 coming in at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, number 9 T-Mobile Park up in Seattle. Number 8 is Lone Depot Park. Never even knew that was the name of it, down in Miami. They say you'll find plenty of local flavor when visiting Lone Depot Park for a Miami Marlins game. Fans can enjoy all kinds of foods and quesadillas filled with firecracker chicken and steak carnitas at Queso Grande and Cuban sandwiches and pan con croqueta at Rincon Havana, right? So we have to make sure that we're speaking Espanol instead of pan being a pan, something we cook something, pan being bread, pan con croqueta. So it's a croqueta bun, and it is a wonderful, wonderful food. By the way, a big hello to our friends over in Michigan as well. We're going to get to you in just a moment, but tell you what, folks, moving on to item number 7, or park number 7 on the list, and that is American Family Field. American Family Field. In case you don't know where that is, that would be Milwaukee. And you would think that Milwaukee would have a sponsor, like a beer company or something. Well, of course, what do I think of? I always think of what? Shots Brewery from Laverne and Shirley. That's just me. That's kind of where I go with it. I can't help it. But no, there's lots and lots of beer companies there. And it's just American Family Field. So anyway, nonetheless, on this 10 best at American Family Field in Milwaukee, you can sample a number of what? Yes, Wisconsin foods at J. Leinenkugel's Barrel Yard. All right, and yes, they have cheese curds, bacon mac and cheese, or a brat flight. And be sure to try The Alley, a new food truck located on the field level. No, I'm not on the field. On the field level, yes, and that's also the loge level as well. By the way, a big welcome into our friends, as I mentioned just a moment ago, over in Michigan, in Bay City, Michigan. I want to say hello to Melissa, a long time friend of 38 odd years, kind of like the one that got away, folks. Nonetheless, we just want to make sure that we say hi to Melissa because I know she's listening in, and needless to say, we're going to give her the super applause for tuning in. All right, that one's for you, Melissa. Thanks for tuning in over there in Detroit Tiger Country. All right, moving on to park number 6, and that is Oriole Park in Oracle Park in San Francisco. Hey, listen, folks, it's the middle of the night when I'm doing this right now. Nonetheless, fans catching a Giants game at I said it again. Jeez. Oracle Park. Next time I do that, Oracle Park. And they say, look, they've got the classic ballpark bites and cuisine that reflects the diverse culinary landscape of San Francisco. By the way, San Francisco has really, and I mean really, good food. If you haven't been there, they've got the biggest Chinatown in America. It is gigantic. And just the Chinese food, the Italian food, this food, that food, it is really, really good. So, I'll tell you what, folks, if you've never been there, check out all the great food. Nonetheless, they have some incredible seafood as well. I mean, I don't do a whole damn show just on the food in San Francisco. Anyway, their dining options, of course, at Oracle Park in San Francisco emphasizes the city's seafood specialties, as I just mentioned, the artisanal food offerings, and also cater to dietary preferences with vegan, vegetarian, that's for you, Melissa, and gluten-free choices. One of Oracle Park's signature dishes is Gilroy garlic fries. And if you don't know, Gilroy is the garlic capital of the world. As you drive through Gilroy, California, it's a beautiful spot, right in the hills, right off of U.S. Highway 101. And actually, it's between 101 and Interstate 5. And so there's a really nice drive in between, just beautiful drive. You got to go in the springtime when the hills are super green, and it's just glorious, and the garlic is just flowing. So if the smell turns you on, guess what? This is your Graceland. Nonetheless, they have garlic festivals up in Gilroy as well. So in this particular case, one of Oracle Park's signature dishes is Gilroy garlic fries. As I mentioned, crispy golden French fries tossed with minced garlic and parsley. Oh yeah. Moving on. Kaufman Field. Of course, this one's for our friends over in Paso Robles, California. And that would be the great Brett Saberhagen. And Brett, of course, was one of the Royals greats. Of course, we're going to give Brett a round of applause. And we're going to give Brett and Candace and the Saves Wings Foundation, their nonprofit, boy, helping out some great people over there. Check them out, Saves Wings, and of course, friends of the Sports Circus as well. And Brett was one of the Kansas City Royals greats, and over there, guess what? They've got pretty darn good food too. They come in at number 5, and they say, being USA Today, you can't dine at Kauffman Stadium without sampling some of the city's famous barbecue, including pulled pork, brisket, ribs, and sausage. And don't put ketchup on that sausage. Other stadium favorites include buffalo chicken wraps, deep-fried tacos, loaded nachos, and pizza. Satisfy your craving for something sweet with a milkshake from Belfonte ice cream or a half a pint of your favorite flavor from Andy's frozen custard. One of those real pretty parks. It's one of those ones you got to spend a little time at. Sounds like they got some great food too. Also, coming in at number 4 is Globe Life Field down in Arlington. And that is, of course, home of what? The Texas Rangers. Celebrating, of course, the flavors of the Lone Star State. Fans watching a Rangers game at Globe Life Field can savor classic Texas favorites like brisket and ribs. Tex-Mex specialties like loaded nachos are also highlighted. And, of course, with a focus on bold flavors and generous portions, fans enjoy a memorable dining experience that reflects the vibrant food culture of the region. And instead of spending $40 on a Dodger dog, one of those real large foot-long hot dogs over at Dodger Stadium, which I love Dodger Stadium, but I would not eat there because it's just too damn expensive. $40. They wanted $40 for one of those things. That's insane. That's right, a big round of booze for them, and we're going to blow them up too because we can. So you could spend $40 on a Dodger dog or whatever it is, their big hot dog there at Dodger Stadium, and I'm sure $40 would get you one hell of a sandwich or meal at Globe Life Field. Moving on, number 3 is Petco Park, one of my favorite parks down in San Diego. And boy, that is a beautiful, beautiful park as well. Petco Park, of course, you can sample the ordinary and the extraordinary as well. And if you want something beyond the traditional hot dog, check out El Zorrito from Barrio Dog. A hot dog topped with cheddar cheese, tomato, jalapeno, salsa verde, aioli, red onions, and cilantro. Instead of popcorn, grab an elote, Mexican-style grilled corn topped with cotija cheese, Taihan, and lime crema. And so all that is available and a whole hell of a lot more at Petco, which is a very, very short drive down to Tijuana, and you get some really good Mexican food there. Coming in at number 2 here is Citizen Bank Park, according to USA Today's top 10 best ballpark foods over in Philadelphia. And of course, with an emphasis on the iconic Philadelphia flavors and local culinary traditions, Citizen Bank showcases the city's most beloved dishes, and Phillies fans can enjoy classic favorites such as the cheesesteak. And of course, those big pretzels. The reason I boo that is because the Italian beef is really a superior sandwich from Chicago over that blasted Philly cheesesteak sandwich. Yes, and I said sandwich in case you're keeping score. That's right.
Why isn't this an awkward moment?
It is an awkward moment. Anyway, they have really good soft pretzels there at Citizen Bank Park. And of course, gourmet burgers, specialty sausages loaded with fries, and of course, local craft beers like everybody else seems to have their own brew. And this way they don't have to pay all the expensive prices to the out of the area breweries. They can support their local ones as well. It's hard to find a good one sometimes. Local favorites include, of course, Chickies and Pete's crab fries. That sounds really good. Manco. And of course, boardwalk style pizza. Yeah. And Federal Donuts and Chicken. Now that sounds pretty damn good. And they say coming in at number 1, according to USA Today, is Citi Field, home of the New York Metropolitans. And of course, that's over in Queens, like King of Queens. And of course, Mets fans at Citi Field can indulge in an array of juicy burgers from Shake Shack, which seem to be a little bit overrated as I see it. But, of course, they say that's a beloved New York City institution, whatever. But also, more importantly, fans can also choose from a variety of stadium food options that represent the city's culinary identity, from a classic New York-style hot dog and soft pretzel to pastrami sandwiches and others as well. So the one thing that they're forgetting in this list, they have some pretty damn good food in Chicago at Wrigley Field and at Sox Park. I guess that would be called Rate Field at this point. Nonetheless, great food over there. You get some great deep dish pizza in Chicago. By the way, in case you think Chicago is deep dish pizza only, no, it's not. Chicago is actually known for its thin crust pizza. Some people like to call it tavern cut or tavern style pizza, whatever, because it's cut into squares. But that's really the Sicilian way of cutting it in the first place, folks. And when you don't have a lot of money, you try to cut it in smaller pieces so more people could share the fun, sharing the pizza. Ever go to one of those work events and they cut the pizza into a wheel into 8 pieces and you try to grab one and they're all gone? Well, you don't have that problem in Chicago because they cut them into squares as God intended for them to be cut. All right, folks, with all that food in mind, listen, I'm going to go have some of that food. Boy, I'd love to have one of those pizzas right now. But that was a rundown of the alleged 10 best food venues for baseball stadiums. I happen to think Chicago has better food than all of these, but I would throw Seattle right up there with it. All right, folks, that's going to do it for the circus today. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. We'll see you in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.